You were born in Taiwan, a capitalist society. You moved to the US. As a child, you studied at NYU and Princeton. You worked at the UN. But in 1975, I believe, you gave up your Taiwanese passport and your US green card to become a citizen of the People's Republic. What made you give up all those liberties and freedoms and move to China?
I felt quite oppressed in the US.
Okay.
I participated with Martin Luther King in the Civil Rights March in 1968.
Wow.
And against the war in Vietnam. And I had one of my fellow students at Princeton beaten to death by rednecks just because he was Chinese.
And you thought China was the place to go to get more?
No, I just thought if they don't want a Chinese, I'll just be Chinese.
Working to expand its form of ideology in order to bend, break, and replace the existing rules-based international order.
Who's replacing rules of international order? Who's cracking down on WTO? Who's left the Paris Climate Agreement? Who's challenging the agreement that's reached with the Iranians? Who? It's not China.
Have a defense budget which is bigger than the UK, France, South Korea, and Russia combined. And yet you announced the biggest increase for 3 years. This is not just about words.
Oh, when the US still continues to challenge, as they do, for entering Chinese territorial waters, however you look at it, the total amount, it is still insignificant compared to US spending.
Insignificant, but you spend more than the UK, France, and Russia combined, 3 nuclear powers.
The 3 nuclear powers in terms of population, that's up to how many?
What's population got to do with your military spending? You have a big population, we know that. What's that got to do with your military budget?
Per capita spending is...
Oh, India has a huge population. They spend a quarter of what you spend.
They wish they had the money to spend more.
Okay. Let's talk about something where it doesn't directly involve the United States, the South China Sea arbitration. Vietnam, Indonesia, Brunei, the Philippines, they've all been upset with Chinese behavior in the South China Sea, with China taking these reefs.
All the discussion about South China Sea has been so-called freedom of navigation. When was it last time that you've seen a blockage of freedom of navigation? And when was the last time you heard the countries you've named, including Vietnam, raise an issue on China and South China Sea? It's only your friends, Americans and Australians, who are jumping up and down all over this.
抖音